Okay, Comcast, Vivo, Vimeo. So we're gonna get started on, what we like, what we don't like about our pet peeves today. So, that's just talking about the average day, ordinary, from 18 blocks to 16 blocks. And right now we're working with Sam Houston, so that's pretty much where we're using our context clues for population, county rights, and that deposition under 1987 to 2023 at the time. So that's pretty much is where you get more of your memoir for your Ameri group and understanding your primary privilege of contents within those authorizations at the time. So that's pretty much as we're working with actual vouchers. It's pretty much part of that voucher as you talk to your district manager or to your as you talk to your store manager or district manager or store manager at the same time. So that's pretty much or even general manager at the time. So that's pretty much where you can be able to speak in general about any store and understanding more about the differences of that store is pretty much what that general manager runs its intuitive information on. So it's more than just standing there after you rate a 3 from a 5 at the time. So it's pretty much where you're using that demographics of 9 miles, 90 miles, and 90 more miles. So it's just going out from 3 hours to 3 days to 3 months, and being able to handle more of your labels content from $363.64 with 19 people in the film. So it's pretty much where you're working with co-producers, or you're working with um district management, or you working with district coordinator at the time, or even store manager at the time. So it's pretty much where you're working with at least a 9.1 or 19.1 compound combination, as we put in that whole Google Docs and all that good stuff, AIG and Google Infomark all together. So that's pretty much where we're using majority of that compost going to. That's over at least $90,000 in hundreds being produced to those type of assignments for the next 2 to 20 days. So that's pretty much what I do on Workday, Rework, and Task Manager of 2023 of July 14th to September 14th at the time. So it's pretty much as we work with different calibrations and calibrations of methods to keep 2006 alive, to keep 2018 alive, keep 2014 alive. And that's pretty much where you're using at least $98,000 square feet, 98,000 square feet to promote more for that good stuff. So it's not just Mr. Catfish, it's not just the voting laws, but it's working with Haraba code as well. So it's pretty much as we're getting started with Haraba code with 10th to 12th grade acknowledgments, and it should be second grade to seventh grade. And since it doesn't get more complex, it's just the reason why you will go up at a grade is because you want the question the problem to be more complex of its sufficiency at the time. So you can't go past a seventh grade question or a 10th grade question after it's already been asked. So that's pretty much working with 2014 to 2023. So that's just already working with your teacher versus the student, or the manager versus the employee at the time. So it's pretty much at least 9,000 versus 363 dollars, and it's pretty much where you're using the the reciprocated balance as what the employee asks, since that's what it has to have in order to eat and get through its day of 2 weeks, 9 weeks, and 90 months, and so forth on down to the line. So that's working with 987 counties from Smithville to New Braunfels to Lubbock at the time. So that's pretty much working with purple, green, and orange counties of, at least 367 points. So, that's pretty much working with, Comcast grid midpoints. That's working with Jackson Hewitt UCO. And that's working with Google Infomart. So, that's pretty much as you're learning something about voting and Haraba code, you're learning more about group group uh, group ordinance at the time. So, it's pretty much working with 87 states as you work with pools in those districts. They're not all the same district, but, they all have different midpoints at the time. So, it's pretty much as you're working with sub-Saharan tyrannies, you being able to use more of a using more of a 2015, 2039, evaluation sheet for, Big Stacy, Little Enfield, more of, Elizabeth Ney. So, it's pretty much working with the Haraba codes, voting rights. You work with that half as well. So, that's pretty much what ABF works on. That's what YRC works on. That's what PFG works on. So, that's just working with 98,889 hours of the day as we work with 500 hours of 5 hour. It's pretty much as you're using constellations of degrees of measurement as you make more for, what you want to do for the future. So, it's working with 23 to 57 as you work with the state of Texas and, more with the commissions at the time. So, the things about it is we just talk about the things that we don't like in the context that we don't like. So, it's pretty much where we're using, subtitles and, being able to autograph, more of the problem and, understanding more about what we need to fix to promote it. So, that's pretty much where you're working with 3 different types of drill sergeants, 3 different types of commanders, 3 different types of managers at the time. So, that's pretty much where you're working with, 3 points of locations and coordinates. That's pretty much where you're working with, the locator of, the organization that you're looking for, whether it's a Mary Group, Jackson Hewitt, AIG, working with the financial solutions at the time. So, that's pretty much where you're using, more of 36 years, 46 years, 86 years in production at the time. So, it's pretty much as you're using that, 9, 8 hours, 38 hours, 28 hours, that's being able to be deferred into 30,000 hours just because 500 hours haven't been added up and you only use 5 hours of that recommendation. Let's get it right. This video is only 5 hours long, so you only can get 55 5-hour conversations out of the whole thing. So, that's at least making 30,000 on each share. 30,000 a month on each share. So, that's pretty much where we've been able to use it with our FDR, campaign with our GDP treaties and tyrannies at the time. So, you're using GDP treaties and tyrannies to complete more of the bill statements, the tax references, and the congressional law orders, especially going to Mr. Cavish and Moore at the time. So, that's pretty much purple, green, and white sufficiencies of, DWL Industries and, working with EcoHerb 747 of PMC2 squared at EcoLeaf mega platforms. And, the thing is, we just getting more of not just a real estate building put up, but we're using a retail store to promote more for the ability of that building. So, other than it just being O'Reilly's, it's more like an AutoZone or a Jiffy Lube or a Firestone. So, we use that for getting miles on down the road so you can have a better environment for, that particular brand. So you can be able to enhance the mood of, that particular brand for that time. So, it's pretty much, using more for Firestone, more for Jiffy Lube, more for AutoZone. So, that's pretty much where we want to be able to context clues and get more adaptive with our 98%, 87%, 37%. And, just think of it as majority rule at that point in time. So, that's pretty much what we're working with 2.1 popular demand and popular demand and plural demand, and working on those details. So it's pretty much we're working with at least 987 groups instead of 987 people, coming in every 244 hours at the day from April 14th to September 18th. So it's pretty much where you're working from 2014 to 2023, and being able to make a full order of at least 9 orders at the time. So that's pretty much what the district manager would have thought, that's what the general manager would have thought, and that's what the district coordinator would have thought. So that's pretty much where you get your free fee exam going in at, just like if it was lens crafters at the time. So it's just all Catfish Industries productions at the time. So it's pretty much using $98,887 in promotions, going towards 942 miles of distance and dimensions. And the thing is, we just got to watch out for Trey, Matthew Hobbs, just because they are a little dysfunctional, and being able to move a lot, and use a lot of food, and use whatever they feel is compatible with their mood is pretty much not what we want at the time. Just because it is a little contempted, they have a little contempted, or they have a little attitude with themselves, knowing that there's many and colorful people around, and it's pretty much they didn't like R. Kelly expressing himself or celebrating himself. So that's pretty much on Happy People by R. Kelly, and they didn't like that with Happy People with R. Kelly, or R. Kelly Fiesta. You're looking at Fiesta, they didn't like that either. So that's just facts of 2014 going on 2022, and being able to understand more about the reunions that go on in 2022 of Purple, Green, and Orange with the Chevy Tahoe 2018 edition. So I was just working with 288 orders being sold with the Tahoe with EcoLeaf Mega platforms at the time. So I was pretty much working with 9, 8, 87, 72 different ratios of retail store versus property at the time, tax property at the time. So at the end of the day, you're working with a $6,000 investment versus $60 million investment. So that's pretty much a simplified equation after you get work with it. Matthew didn't like it, Trey didn't like it. That was another one of those contents of the fact at the end of the day. So it's pretty much looking at your 3rd grade to 10th grade analysis. You're not in 7th grade, you're not in 8th grade no more. So why is it very hectic that you're being able to understand these things? So it's working with 987% for a clear individual method of these things. So it's pretty much working with 3rd grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, 10th grade. That's pretty much working with something that ain't even imaginable at the time. So when I'm saying I'm working with 10th grade, 3rd grade, this is basically just going through graphs. You're going through graphs, figures. You're going through graphs, figures, and then you go with, it's at least 987% of what you're working with. So you can't never get tired, nor can you never get bored. So, it's pretty much we're using 9.1 details of 2008 to 2018. So, it's pretty much working with purple, green, orange, working with Popeyes, Chili's, Chick-fil-A, you're working with those resources as well. So, at the end of the day, what is Jada going to think about, when she sees Matthew eating something ordinary out of the blue, and it's, fantastic. You had different measurements at the possible measurements. So, it's at least 987 votes going towards him eating, and, 987 votes going to her enjoying it. So, it's just, 987% is everywhere. She don't know if it's Roman noodles or spaghetti. So she's just mixed up. So I just left her alone, so I don't mess with her for the next 9 months. So, you know, it's pretty much up to her. If she want to come get catfish at Mr. Catfish and More, that's up to her. You know, do what she want, do what she please. She got 9 orders to get it, you know, that's pretty much all of her bankroll. So, you know, it's not like I took it and sold it for $9.87 cigarettes already in February to September. So, you know, that's pretty much where you're using more towards positive responsibilities as far as it not being third grade and being 10th grade analysis already. So, you know, it's pretty much working with at least 10 years of 10th grade by the time you thinking of something that's equivalently third grade at the time. So, you know, that's working with a Max Preps Pro, that's working with a Merit Group, it's working with AIG fully loaded, and, you know, understanding about the coordinates of time at the time, and, you know, understanding more about 1987 to 2006 is pretty much where we getting that 2018 Chevy Tahoe going at, you know, being able to know more about LaGrange to Amarillo to Abilene at the time is pretty much where we're learning more about our local state of 2002 of 2023 at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much working with the 2018 Chevy Tahoe and, you know, getting us started with at least $98,000 in promotions being provided at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much working with 98,837% of TransUnion Reflect, and, you know, understanding more about those details as well as you would your voting laws, or, you know, even towards your Merit Group census laws, which is, you know, filled with a lot of with a lot of you know, concealed manners since 2012. You know, you got a lot of concealed manners, or, you know, what do you call it, concealed? You got a lot of congruent manners where, you know, people are still stuck in 2012 over exhaustion and you know, poor diets at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much Matthew, that's pretty much J.R. Scooter, it's pretty much Jared, that's pretty much, you know, majority of the team after you leave 1987 to 2010. So, you know, it's pretty much working on a big 10th grade deposit since 1997, and, you know, and that's pretty much where you way above third grade. You know, you like $39 million above third grade at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much just not working with shapes and figures. You're working with, you know, proportions of different assignments at the time. So, you know, that's working with the whole 267 months, and, you know, understanding more about distance and ratios is pretty much what ABF is assigned to at the end of the day. So, you know, that's pretty much the general statement that ABF provides at the time. That's his 987 dime. So that's an important dime of its cause at the time, as you've learned more about ABF transits at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much where I put in $99 million a year since 2022. And, you know, it's pretty much as I made at least $980 million in the last year. You know, that's pretty much where you're being able to coordinate different categories of coordinates being used since 2018 to 2022. So, you know, that's pretty much where you're using a bigger leap of 10th grade experience and skill and privilege at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much where you're working with a bigger league of, you know, 287 coordinates and categories at the time. So, you know, that just leads to purple, orange, and green. It's a lieutenant district coordinate. So you're working with at least 987 positions in your lieutenant coordinate that handle different opportunities and different options amongst their grades. So, you know, the point was, at my point, I still hadn't got there at my job that I usually have in the normal day. So, you know, that's pretty much where I'm just still, you know, being able to show up at diverse recreation pools, and, you know, being able to show up at different diverse recreation pools, and, you know, being able to you know, show a different talent of sweat and of district tyrannies at the time. So, you know, it's winning Branham, Wimberley, Waco. You know, that's pretty much where you're using majority of your $90,000 revenue tax at, you know, especially in the points that we were located in their half. You know, that's pretty much where we're working with a full term for at least 90 years, 30 years, 80 years. So, you know, it's pretty much using AIG fully loaded and, you know, understanding more about its characteristics of manners and points that you know of that collect the currency data bit. So, you know, it's pretty much working with 1040s. You know, it's working with the whole nine at that time. So, you know, it's at least working with 90, 80 different situations and seminars that you know, are not the same detail versus 30 yards versus 3 feet versus 300 feet. You know, we're working with, you know, a long time friend versus, you know, having a poor connection at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much where we work with having a long time friend versus having a long time connection at the time of 2008 to 2022. So, you know, that's pretty much where you're using 2014's epidemics of July to September at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much working with 98, 87, 89 different promotions of districts at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much working with 287 months, 987 months, 387 months, as you describe your connotation of what you are interested in and what you like, and, you know, being able to use your diction for 10th grade editions at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much all you have to do is, you know, be able to figure out what your midpoint for ABF, Jackson Hewitt, Hugo, AIG, fully loaded, and, you know, what is your mood for what is your mood for Google Docs at the time. You know, that's pretty much what you're doing for your Christmas present, your Thanksgiving present, your Easter present. You know, you getting down the year as you get more excited with that. You know, other than that, you know, we're working with local lieutenant management, lieutenant district at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much where I go up into a higher phase of classification and, you know, be able to handle my resumes toward that detailed, and, you know, get more exhorted with, you know, being an executive producer of registration at the time. So, you know, that's just working with 98, 80, 69 different orders of registration and verification at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much working with that detail 986 months, you know, for 9, 90, 89, 69 times a year. So, you know, it's pretty much as we're using a executive co-producer, you know, was pretty much being able to promote more for, you know, what assigns you more for your data analyst, what assigns you more for your inventory specialist idea, what assigns you for your district coordinator idea. So, you know, whoever had the most of those instincts, or, you know, most of the popular votes of, you know, their nearby challenge at the time. So, you know, that's pretty much as you're working with, you know, full-time business, you know, you're working with 98, 89, 99 hours of work. You know, you want to cut that short by 90, 80% for what? You know, you have no manager on that time. You know, it's 2022, it's not 2014, so you don't have nobody managing your position at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much where you're being able to add as much ingredient as you feel and add the plus to your advantagements without Matthew Hobbs or Trey or Edric or Jared or, you know, either one of those having a bad conflict or situation or seminar where, you know, they thinking of that 9-character situation. And, you know, that's all part of our group at the end of the day. You know, that's pretty much where you see me, you know, out of 9,853 people, and, you know, you see me trying to serve them for their consumption rates under this private invested commercial property investment. You know, that's pretty much what you see at the end of the day of 2018 to 2023 of 3rd grade to 10th grade, and, you know, understanding more about, you know, squares and square roots, and, you know, more about exponents at the time, and, you know, dealing with transition and documents of 2014 to 2046. So, you know, I was just working with a little bit more of YRC at the time. So, you know, it's pretty much how you deal with YRC and, dealing with YRC's financial acknowledgments. It's pretty much working with Lubbock, Luling, Abilene, Lockhart, not Lockhart, but LaGrange. So, it's pretty much working with those details as well. So, this is just getting a memoir or a repost or a review on, those types of things on car gurus that get you more affiliated with, more of the car that you want at the end of the day. So, you filled out your college ratios, your collegiate ratios, and, that's pretty much where you got your diploma at. So, that's pretty much where you're being able to finish 10th grade and, being able to finish 12th grade as well. So, it's pretty much where you're using 28, 80, 35. So, it's pretty much where you're starting earlier in the season to be able to gain a corporate career with Frost Interscopes and, be able to use enterprise, corporations, aquatics division, and, Google Docs to promote more for your similes and metaphors at the time as you get more affiliated with gray, blue, red points of dimensions at the time. So, I was working with 987 points, 387 points, 687 points. I was working with Luxury Luck Investments at the time. So, that's pretty much how you get more towards, having more towards 987% of, people not fully liking the investment just because it has a longevity manner to it. So instead of 9 months, it lasts 9 years if you want to be able to add your positive intuition to it. So, it's pretty much where you're using combined like terms and, being able to use your third grade math at that time. So, that's pretty much where you're using 90%, 80%, 79% to use completed, moguls and items and situations, so that it looks more like a completed purchase at the time. And, it's pretty much where you're using Google Docs, Google Infomart, Google Maps, AIG fully loaded, Outreach, TCS. You're using that and, you're just trying to stay hydrated for 987 waters every AIG visit or every TCS visit or every outreach visit. That's just basically trying to stay healthy within the 847 miles that you have. So, that's pretty much just being able to be as constant as giving a water break at the end of the day, making sure we have 98,847 different sources of water bottles for the summer to the spring at the end of the day, going from TCS to Webb to Reagan to Pickle at the time. So, that's just being able to get started on your following day of how to get started with, 9.1 to 98,000 to 90,000 and, understanding more about, 9.1 to 98. $9,080 at the time. So, I was working with Matthew, I was working with Jared, I was working with James, is working with Jabrice. They might not just they might not like it the full 90%. So, they're gonna cause trouble and, cause situations with, 937% with the ABF and the YRC and the PFG situations, and, knowing that, that was a full term that I served as a third grader to 10th grader that they didn't know about at the time, and while they was playing basketball, and I just shifted up on themselves. So, it's pretty much what you call self-care for your own individual at the time. You're not being selfish, you being independent at the time. So, it's pretty much where you got to look at the difference and be able to source his own point, if you can be able to handle the loop like that. So, I was working with 98,000, 82,000, 42,000 with purple, red, and blue duplication of it, so that's working with 3 different forms of tax deficits for yourself, so you can be able to make money off of it, like Sears, Sony, and